What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Tiger Pick'ems. My name is Lucas Parrish, and I am your host. And today, I am joined by Mark Poland Jr. and David Campbell. How are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. You guys excited to talk some football?
I'm really excited to get going. We got a nice slate of matchups. The Big Ten is back.
Absolutely. Big Ten is back. Now, I know I said that I was only going to discuss SEC games. But with the Big Ten back, we are going to discuss, I think, what is the best Big Ten matchup this week, Michigan and Minnesota. You're from Minnesota, David.
I am.
You're a Minnesota fan. He may be a little bit biased.
College game day this week, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to start off, of course, with the SEC. Alabama at Tennessee, South Carolina at LSU, Michigan at Minnesota, and, of course, Mizzou at Kentucky. So sit back, relax, grab a snack, and enjoy the show.
Alabama is absolutely loaded with weapons for Mac Jones to pick and choose from. By far the best trio of receivers in all of college football with John Mechie III and Devontae Smith on the outside and Jalen Waddle in the slot. Smith and Waddle are averaging over 20 yards a catch this season. And you can't forget about Najee Harris in the backfield, who's a potential Heisman candidate and rushed for 11 touchdowns already this season. Then on the defensive side, you have Patrick Surtain, a big physical corner, and Dylan Moses, who was an All-American and led that Alabama defense to holding Georgia scoreless in the second half. You look at Tennessee, and they have running back Eric Gray, a sophomore who rushed for 148 yards last week against Kentucky, which was a season high. And then on the outside, they have Josh Palmer, who's been quiet for the most part this season, but expect him to make some big plays. I think Alabama's going to take this one by a score of 52-14.
Wow. Projecting them 52-14. Why do you think Tennessee isn't going to get more? Alabama's defense has not been what it once was. What makes you think Alabama's going to blow them out by that much?
Oh, well, Jared Guarantano, he didn't play that well last week against iffy Kentucky team. He threw two interceptions. Both of them went for pick sixes. I don't think they're a good team.
I understand Tennessee started off the season strong. I agree with you that Alabama's going to win this pretty handily. I don't know if I have them that handily. I've got Alabama taking it 42-21. At the end of the day, that offense with Mac Jones and the receivers you mentioned, I mean, Devonta Smith and Waddle there, they're both going to be first-round picks. They're both insane. Do you have anything different?
I mean, I think it's going to be, probably similar, very score line. Tennessee only scored 7 points against Kentucky last week.
Yeah.
I mean,
granted, Kentucky's defense, though the SEC defenses as a whole aren't great, Kentucky's defense has been underperforming through the first few weeks.
That's 100% true, and Alabama's just got too much talent. I think it's them and Clemson are the best teams in the nation right now. They proved it last week against Georgia. I got maybe not 52-14. I got like 48-17, probably something like
48.
that.
I think that's a solid score. I don't see Tennessee putting up more than 30 points. And even if they do, Alabama will put up 50.
Yep. I completely agree. Moving along, we got South Carolina against LSU, a matchup that I didn't think, looking first into this, it was going to be that good of a game. And then I dug deep, and I thought, wow, this is going to be a phenomenal game, probably one of the games of the week. Let's start with South Carolina. They have a proven and efficient runner in Kevin Harris, a sophomore. He's been for over 400 yards this year. He's not, probably say a little underrated in my opinion. Got Shi Smith on the outside as a receiver. They have weapons on the South Carolina team, despite their quarterback being a little boring. I think that Colin Hill.
That's a perfect description of their quarterback.
Colin Hill is just nothing too special. Their offense overall is not that special, but let's look at their defense. They have probably, in my opinion, the best cornerback duo in the entire nation in J.C. Horn and Israel Mukuamu. Probably borderline first-round picks. I think Horn will definitely get in the first round, late first round. Mukuamu will be a day 2 pick, but I think they are just too good. But they got their hands full with Terrence Marshall Jr. over on that LSU side, who has 7 touchdowns already on this season. But there's a big problem in the LSU offense, and that's the fact that Miles Brennan is most likely not going to be playing this game. They got T.J. Johnson and Max Finley up next. Coach O loves them both. They're both freshmen, and Coach O likes them both. Has not announced his starter yet. Guy like Seth Williams last week against Auburn. South Carolina shut him down. Only 4 catches for 74 yards. Almost all that came on a huge 40-yard bomb. South Carolina's biggest question on defense is the lack that they can't defend the run. LSU doesn't run the ball. They don't run the ball that often whatsoever, and their defense a lot of questions. This is going to be such a good game, and I keep on going back and forth on it. I got South Carolina taking this one 31-28, which is a bold prediction. I think if South Carolina can just force the freshman quarterbacks to make some mistakes, I think they're going to take it.
That's a bold prediction. I don't think it's that bold. South Carolina has looked. You got LSU's 1-2. South Carolina's 2-2. LSU lost to Mizzou.
Yeah.
Who started the season off 0-2, looked terrible against Tennessee, didn't look good against Alabama. I mean, it's Alabama. But I didn't realize Miles Brennan was going to be out until I saw your notes. If I'm going to be honest, I had LSU winning it at that point. I still have LSU winning it.
Okay.
34-28. Like you said, I think it's going to be very close. At the end of the day, I think I trust Coach O. I know their defense hasn't been that good, but they have pieces there. It just has to come together. I trust Coach O. I think it's going to be very, very close. South Carolina absolutely has a chance.
Yeah.
But the fact that they don't have much at the quarterback position, again, Colin Hell, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks.
Nothing special.
Nothing special. He's I mean, I think that's the best way of putting it. They have a good running back, but I think LSU will bring it together.
I think that if Bo Nix can throw 3 picks against this South Carolina secondary, I don't think T.J. Johnson or Max Finley will do much better.
Maybe.
I mean, that's just my 2 cents. I think J.C. Horn and Israel Amu need to make some plays. They can also get the quarterback, make some pressure. That's my prediction. What about you?
Oh, well, it's going to be tough for these true freshmen to play. They're playing against 2 of the best corners, in my opinion, in all of college football.
Absolutely.
We saw Horn play out of his mind last week against Auburn. I got a low-scoring game, though, and I didn't know Miles Brennan wasn't going to play, so I'll go 17-6 Gamecocks.
It's
17-6?
It's not confirmed, but he's most likely out. That's what the reports are saying.
Got it.
So there's a small, he's doubtful. There's a D next to his name.
Got it. Yeah, that's going to be a good game, absolutely. Moving on to the only game I think that rivals it, and we only say rivals it because we expect it to be close, but of course, as you know, with pre-season polling, it could be all over the place. Michigan at Minnesota. Michigan ranks 18, Minnesota 21. Michigan has some question marks at quarterback. Joe Milton is right now atop the depth chart. However, Cade McNamara, a redshirt freshman, is a guy who, if Milton doesn't perform, could step in there. Now, Michigan did not have all that much in the way of consistent quarterback production last season with Shea Patterson, but of course, having to start over, always scary. Moving on, their wide receivers, Ronnie Bell and Cornelius Johnson, they're going to look for production from those guys. Don't sleep on A.J. Henning, though. He's lower on the depth chart, but was a star recruit for this team this offseason. Their running backs are absolutely their strength. They have 3 established runners. Zach Charbonnet, who as a freshman last year was very good. Hassan Haskins behind him, also an established runner. And they get Chris Evans back. He was suspended all of last season, but he too has a lot of yards in college football. So absolutely have a lot of good running backs. And their defense will of course be good. They lost some key players. However, they still have 2 all-star talents at safety in Daxton Hill and Brad Hawkins. And their D-line will be great as well. The key to the game for them is consistency from the pass game, something they were missing last season, so that's really going to be important to watch. Moving on to Minnesota, they return quarterback Tanner Morgan, who was the 4th most efficient quarterback last season, above Trevor Lawrence, above Tua, above some other big names. He was very good. Moving on, their wide receiver Rashad Bateman is playing this season. He talked about opting out, but has eventually decided he will play. He's a stud, a potential first-round pick. It's just going to be a question with the better coverage. Will he be able to perform? That's going to be the big question mark in their running back, Mohamed Ibrahim, guy who's super difficult to bring down and ready for that increased role. Where they start to fall off is their defense. Their defense is a bit of a question mark. They lost a lot of talent and need the younger guys to step up. That's the key to their game, defense. I think Michigan takes this one 21-18. I think their defense manages to keep it low scoring, manages to keep that Minnesota offense at bay, and that's going to be the key for them. If they can keep Minnesota's offense at bay and get some decent production out of that pass game, they'll take it. And I that's what I predict will happen.
I guess I'll start. Yeah, being from Minnesota, I have the Gophers winning this football game,
Yeah.
and I think that when you say that the defense has lost a lot of talent, I don't disagree. Antoine Winfield Jr.
They lost 5 players.
Yeah, they lost
five
Kamal
players
Martin,
to the NFL.
Thomas Barber. They have a lot of guys, but the thing is, they also have a lot of guys that can step up too. Their front seven, I'll admit, did not get a ton of experience last year, but their secondary, they still return. We talked about a great cornerback duo at South Carolina, J.C. Horn and Israel Mukuamu. Coney Durr and Benjamin St. Justee are just up there. If I would say top 10, I would say cornerback duos, as well as Jordan Howden in the safety who had the game-winning pick against Penn State in that awesome upset last year. Their front seven, they got a guy from my hometown of Hopkins, Minnesota, Boye Mafe, who was only used on third downs last year and still got at least 7, I think it was 7, maybe 8 sacks last year, only on third downs in the nickel. I think him, and then as well, Micah Dude-Fredway, who's a transfer from Notre Dame a couple years ago. I'll admit, though, their linebacking core is weak. It's super weak, and with the Michigan running backs being so strong,
Absolutely.
if he can get to the second level, then they got some problems. I still think that in a year where you need as much transparency as possible and as much chemistry as possible, the fact that the Gophers have their starting quarterback coming back, plus the best receiver in the Big Ten, who I think is a top 3 receiver in the country, as well as Muhammad Ibrahim, who was the most underrated running back last year. And of course, I'm biased. I am being 100% biased.
Absolutely.
I like the Gophers. Roll the boat, Sky Yama, go Gophers. But I think that the Gophers take this one 37-31.
I agree. I think the Gophers are going to win this game. They're going to put up points. I said 38-17 just because Tanner Morgan, he was a very good quarterback last year.
So good.
Probably the second best quarterback in the Big Ten. He set his single season school record for touchdown passes. He's also got his target, Rashad Bateman, who averaged 20 yards a catch last season. That was the best in the Big Ten. And then he's got his favorite target, Chris Autman-Bell, who's back. He caught 5 touchdowns last season.
Yeah.
So they got a bunch of guys who can make big plays. I just think they're going to be able to put up points, and Michigan's not going to be able to keep up with them.
A big question for Bateman is going to be, how does he do with Tyler Johnson gone? Now he's the top guy. Will he step up? I think he will. If it's low scoring, it goes to Michigan. If it's high scoring, it goes to Minnesota. Simple as that. Moving on to our final game, Kentucky at Mizzou. I apologize. I believe I said Mizzou at Kentucky earlier, but that is a home game at the University of Missouri. Just like every week, we have a package for the Kentucky team. This week, it's a recap of their last game. Take a look.
Last week, Kentucky traveled to Tennessee and demolished the Volunteers. Here are the highlights. Kentucky's defense steps up and makes a play. Kelvin Joseph, pick 6, 41 yards. Kentucky strikes first in Knoxville. Huge play there. Next possession, Kentucky drives down, picked off again. Jamin Davis crosses midfield, and he's got an entourage. Looking to go all the way, and guess what? He does. 85-yard pick 6 for Jamin Davis, and just like that, it was 14-0 Kentucky. Bang, bang. Next possession, interception again. It was his first throw of the game. New Tennessee quarterback J.T. Shrout came in, threw one pass, and it was an interception. This time, luckily, it didn't go to the house. Kentucky would add a field goal. Here's a replay of that. What is Shrout thinking here? Pumps once and boom, picked off. Later on, next half, fade, end zone, Allen Bailey from Terry Wilson, the quarterback. Flips the ball to the ref. Swaggerish play right there from Allen Bailey. And the icing on the cake, Christopher Rodriguez Jr. runs right up the gut, bumbles and stumbles into the end zone. 34-7 was the final score. Kentucky improves to 2-2 on the season.
Last week, they killed Tennessee. We talked about it earlier. 31-7 was, I think, the final score.
Yeah.
Kentucky's defense really stepped up. They have a very underrated defense, a defense that at the beginning of the season I talked about how good it was. It's started off the season underperforming. Last week they stepped it back up. The key to the game is going to be to maintain their momentum. Kentucky is 2-0 in their last 2 games. If they maintain that momentum into this week, that's what's going to really carry them through. Moving now to the University of Missouri, starting with their quarterback, Connor Bazelak, was the SEC Freshman of the Week against LSU. He looked great. He had 4 touchdown passes, 400 yards. Kid looks great. Their running game also looks good. Roundtree and Beatty have both stepped up. Now, the issue comes at wide receivers. I understand Hazleton and Chisom both did not play 2 weeks ago against LSU. Aside from that, they still have not been as good as advertised. Hazleton and Chisom need to step up. Jalen Knox there has at least been a consistent target for Connell Bazelak. The defense, on the other hand, still has not been great for Mizzou, as with every single SEC team. I think we can say the SEC is looking like the new Big 12. But it stepped up when it needed to. On those 4 goal line stands, it managed to win the game for Mizzou. The key to this game is absolutely Connor Bazelak. Can he continue to play like he did 2 weeks ago? If so, Mizzou will probably take it. I do have Mizzou taking it, actually. I have Mizzou taking it 31-27. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. At the end of the day, I think Bazelak will get that last drive and win the game. I believe in Bazelak. He looked great last week. He's got a big arm. A lot of talent. Looked good last season when he played before tearing his ACL. Yeah. I believe in the kid.
I do too. I think that the main reason why Kentucky won last week is because they forced Tennessee quarterbacks, and I say quarterbacks because there's multiple that threw interceptions. They forced them into bad mistakes. I don't think Connor Bazelak will do that.
Absolutely not.
And I think one thing that I want to quick mention here, Mizzou, first 2 weeks, we're not believing in themselves. Eli Drinkwitz has got that team with a little bit of confidence now. They got a little bit of confidence after beating at LSU, just the right amount, not enough, not cockiness, but just confidence. I think they take this one as well. I'm going 31-21 Mizzou.
Yeah.
Well, with Bazelak, we've just seen the offense just flow different than it did with Sean Robinson.
Oh my God.
Just moving up and down the field, being able to put up points. They put up 41 points against an LSU defense. I just think that we're going to be able to put up points. And then you got the defense anchored by Nick Bolton. They are facing a dynamic quarterback, so we should mention that. Terry Wilson from Kentucky, dynamic guy, dual threat guy. We haven't faced somebody like that before, but I still think we're going to be able to put up points to take that. So I got Mizzou 35-28 taking it.
All right. Well, we'll see come Sunday if our predictions are correct. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We hope you enjoyed the show. Have a good week.